Hi everyone, hope you are doing well. This is the last video of the series, and this is the conclusion of the series which we have been following. So, I have spent around 3 months to prepare this series where we are building a e-commerce platform which is similar to Flipkart, and while doing so, we are doing or learning the software engineering bootcamp stuffs. So, in this video, I'll just conclude and talk about the things we learned and what are the next steps overall so that you can follow the things and then follow a journey. This service will connect to that service and that service will connect to that service, etc. But the problem is that you cannot do the practical in the system design videos. Of course, you cannot build an Uber in a 1 hour video, right? And nobody is going to watch a 10-hour video anyway. Now, apart from this, we have a smaller video available. For example, we have something called as the low level design videos where we have classes and those things available. And then we have tutorials on Spring Boot, etc. And then we have something on interview based questions. So there was nothing to connect everything together and learn everything in one go. So what I have done is that I thought that let's create a video series of 15, 18 videos where if you follow, you will learn the basics of everything. And then you can start. When you follow this video, you will be able to create a basic e-commerce platform so that a person can actually log in using Google and then they can add things to the cart and eventually place the order. To do that, you will have backend, frontend, etc. So eventually the website would look something like this. You will come to a website. If you're not logged in, it will show you sign in and then you can sign in to the website and then it will show the products available in the database and then you can add things to your cart, but these things are added to the cart in the backend. And apart from this, we have something called as the REST APIs. So this UI which we build, it will help us to call these REST APIs. So we have REST APIs for products. What are the products available? Then we have the REST API for cart so that you add things to the cart and then you place the order. And here in the REST API, you see things got added. I can add whatever address I want. And in fact, if I reload the page, so the data will still persist because this is coming from the database. And eventually you add whatever Bangalore and then you place the order. So once you place the order will be placed and you will see the value. For example, order ID 19 and whatever order you want, you can place. Now here I'll just summarize for the things which are there and then what you can do going forward. So we started with Java, the introduction to Java. We didn't talk about how to code in Java. We just said that why we are choosing Java. Then we talked about Maven, how to set up Maven, then IntelliJ, which is an IDE. Then we talked about Spring Boot. By default, all the projects nowadays in Java are using Spring Boot. I mean, I would say most of the projects. Then we set up Git. Then we had a CI/CD pipeline. What it means is that whenever we commit anything in Git, automatically things used to get deployed on Azure. So that's one thing we did, that whenever you commit the code. And we also set up things on Azure. So in Azure, we have e-commerce backend as an application. We set everything and there were multiple videos around these things. So once that is done, then we set up login with Google, as we have already seen. Then we talked about configuration management, that you can have some configurations in a Spring Boot application, and then you can use the same configuration in Azure as well. Then we talked about logging in various forms and monitoring so that you can have some sort of dashboard so that you can check that what is the API latency and if your service is well or not. So we talked a bit about that. Then we also talked about not just the implementation, but we started to talk about the requirement analysis, that this is the exact requirement which we are going to talk. And then we had one whole video on why we are choosing a particular database. You can choose any database you want, right? And no choice is right or wrong. But the main thing is that you should have a right rationale. So we talked about right rationale, that why we are going ahead with Azure SQL database. Then we set up the Azure SQL database. Then we talked about creating the table, connecting to the database using Java application, building the REST APIs, and eventually writing a simple UI. So with writing this simple UI, you can actually add things to the cart and place the order. So what's the next step? Once you are through with all these things and adding things to the cart and placing the order, what's the next thing? So this particular series, which had a bunch of videos in the playlist, it gives you the basic overview, right? The first recommendation from my side would be that please clone the repo and try to code yourself, because I can only cover as much as I could in this series. Each of these videos can have their own series in themselves, right? So for example, the logging itself can have a series. But if you just get a gist of it, that how things are working here, then it would be fine for you to get started. So clone the repo, try to run by yourself, try to experiment a bit with coding. So once you code a little, then you will get more and more comfortable. So all the best for your journey, and please comment or reach out to me if you are stuck in any of the videos. I've tried to make things as simple as possible, but at times I understand that I might assume that you know something, but you might not know. So try to Google search or whatever. And if it doesn't help you, please reach out to me. I generally try to answer as much as possible. So that's it from my side for this video. Till the next time, bye.